Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Normandale Writing Festival. Today, we have Saymoukda Vongsay and Rosie Peters, who are both mentors in the Write Like Us project, an equity-based creative writing program across Twin Cities community colleges, celebrating and supporting BIPOC writers. Today, we welcome them to this panel where they'll share their work and we'll discuss balancing parenting, adulting, and real life in your writing practice. So I'll go ahead and introduce our writers, and then they will each read, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. So as they're reading or as they're discussing their work, please feel free to add questions in the chat or in the Q&A, and I would really look forward to addressing them. Okay. Rosie Peters is a poet, author, public speaker, and an activist. She is of Yankton, Crow Creek, and Oglala descent. A procrastinator to the point of detriment and lover of the natural world. Rosie has had her poetry published in the Yellow Medicine Review and has recently been awarded the Minnesota State Arts Board an Artist Initiative Grant in 2021 to professionally record and release an album of her spoken word performance poetry, and the MRAC Next Step Grant for 2021-22 for creative support for the completion of her memoir titled The Spider and the Rose. Saymoukda Vongsay is a Lao writer. CNN's United Shades of America host W. Kamau Bell called her work revolutionary. Governor Mark Dayton recognized her with a Lao Artists Heritage Month proclamation. She's a recipient of a Sally Award for Initiative from the Ordway Center for Performing Arts, which, quote, recognizes bold new steps and strategic leadership undertaken by an individual in creating projects or artistic programs never before seen in Minnesota that will have a significant impact on strengthening Minnesota's artistic and cultural community. She's the author of the children's book, When Everything Was Everything, and is best known for her award-winning play, Kung Fu Zombies versus Cannibals. Her plays have been presented by the Smithsonian Asian Pacific American Center, Theater Mu, Lower Depth Theater, Asian Improv Arts, and elsewhere. Other awards and grants include and several other arts awards and fellowships. She is currently an Andrew W. Mellon Foundation playwright in residence at Theater Mu, a McKnight Foundation Fellow in Community Engaged Practice Art, and a Jerome Hill Artist Fellow in Playwriting. Please join me in welcoming Rosie Peters and Saymoukda Vongsay. I guess we hadn't worked this out ahead of time, but does anyone have a strong preference for who wants to go first?
Rosie texted me and was like, please let me go first. And I said, sure.
Okay, all right, then Rosie it is. Take it away.
Well, since I'm doing this multi-genre thing, I think I'll start with a poem, and then I'll share some from my memoir in progress. America, a laboring woman. She's been at it for 240 years, trying to push out new life, her promise, an inevitable truth. Her bister belly round, tight with child. She's been here before, many times. Her amniotic eaten. The nurse feeds her chipped ice. America stands, marches through the sanitized arteries of the hospital beneath incandescent cold. With each revolution, her cervix dilates. But this baby's breech, no crown, yet holy. Breaking water, America seethes, shamed by her rapacious offspring and the bleaching of their stirp sins. Her bister belly round, tight with child. Feverish now, her children fight in the streets. Cain done killed Abel and left his body laying on the frozen ground up at Wounded Knee. Now Abel's blood hallows the riverbed at Standing Rock. Can you hear America screaming? Our mother, 1,000 tied tongues attempting to extirpate the bullets and bleed the old abscesses caused by the cross. Will you sage the wounds on her body and weave a cradle of sweetgrass and willow to hold her promise? Because we are still here, wiping the sweat from her brow, whispering in her ear to just keep breathing. And then, let me see. I have two little, so this memoir that I'm writing is actually a hybrid of poetry, prose, story, and then also these letters that I wrote to my brother posthumously, where I'm speaking to him. And so I just want to read a couple of these little letters. And this was just recently published, it's an anthology. It's an excerpt of my memoir, just 10 pages. Since we were talking about kids and motherhood, I'm a single mom. I have 5 kids, and I really loved the way that my 19-year-old daughter described an anthology to my 17-year-old daughter. She said that it's like a movie trailer for writers. She's like, all these writers are doing their own projects, and and these are all Native women writers. And she's like, our mom, this is a movie trailer of her book, and along with theirs. And so I thought that was a cute way. So these are some of the letters to my brother. Yesterday morning, while I was already crying and emotional from missing you, our mother called. I know you had a hand in that. I feel you in the warmth of her voice. It's been about 3 weeks since I talked to her, not on purpose. It's just so easy for me to slip back into being too busy to answer the phone, too busy to pick up the phone and call, too busy to mail her Mother's Day card and gift that have been in my purse for months. Forgive me. I'm not good at this. Feeling, being her daughter, acknowledging her as my mother, our mother. I'm not a good person. I've allowed fear to girdle my heart. My love for her has been conditional and unforgiving. Really, I didn't think I had any love for our mother left at all. She said, Rosie, how are you? I'm good, Mom, I lied, not wanting to burden her or bring her down. After all, she's the one who's mentally ill and in a nursing home. How could I cry to her, this woman who gave birth to me, this stranger? The word mom still tastes foreign, exotic. She said, I heard a little girl crying on the television, and I thought it was you. I could have swore it was you. Are you sure you haven't been crying? Again, I lied. No, Mom, I haven't been crying. She said, "Last night, I read the book you gave me when you came to visit, the one about the little boy in the jungle." "The Jungle Book? The boy is Mowgli," I said. "When I visited our mother a month after you died, I asked her if she liked to read. I was looking for something to have in common with her. I hadn't seen or spoken to her in over 18 years, and I needed a connection. She said she liked little golden books. My heart broke to realize that our mother's mind could only process a children's book. I feel guilty for hating her as long as I have." "Yep, that one. It's my favorite," she said. "I love that one too, Mom. It's one of my favorites." "Yep, that boy in the jungle. He grew up in the jungle with all the animals. He was raised by wolves. They did the best they could, but he needed a village. He needed people that loved him. He needed a safe place." "Yes, Mom, it's a good story," I said. "I was thinking about you, being out in the jungle. Have you found people that love you and a safe place to live?" I started crying. I was feeling in the spaces between her words. "Yes, Mom, I finally found a safe place. I live in a village called Marine. Me and the kids are loved. Do you have all you need? A kitchen, a bedroom, a bathroom, and a living room?" "Yes, Mom, I have all I need. We just moved into a beautiful house." "Well, that makes me happy. I mean that. My Rosie deserves a safe place. I hope I find my safe place someday." I started bawling. She must have heard me. "Why are you crying, honey?" "I don't know, Mom. I'm really happy I am. It's just that I miss Dean. I miss him so much." "Oh, sweetie, don't you worry about Dean. He's okay. Do you think he's in heaven, Mom? Do you think there is a heaven?" "Why, yes, I know it. And I know God would never forsake any of us. Jesus loves me. He loves you, and he loves Deanie Ray. God didn't forsake Dean." I thought about that. Her us. What does she mean, us? We've never been devout. We're not religious. We don't do church. We struggle every day. We try, have good hearts. It's just buried beneath the rubble of living a life that feels like war. I think she meant people like us, all the broken-hearted people, hopeless and hopeful at the same time. And aren't we all broken in some way? I cried more. A sieve. I loved him, Mom. I really loved him. I really wanted to say, "I am sorry. I am so sorry I let your son die. I tried so hard, but couldn't reach him where he went. Pain took him too far away." She laughed. "You don't have to tell me that. I was there. The minute that boy was born, he was your baby. I ain't never seen love like that. You watched over him and protected him. He was your baby. You two always got along so well, inseparable. And he loved you too, and he knew you loved him." That made me laugh. I laughed at her saying that we got along so well. What was she talking about? We fought like a couple of gunpowder-fed pit bulls. She said, "I love hearing you laugh like that. It tickles me." "What does?" "When you laugh. Ever since you was little, you laughed with all your might. It's my favorite. You should laugh as much as you can. They say that laughter is the best medicine. You ever hear that?" "Yeah, Mom, I've heard that." "Well, I believe it's true. Laughing can heal us, and so can food. Good food has healing powers. Say, when you gonna send me that healing stone necklace?" "I'll send it today, Mom." "Good. I need all the help I can get. I've been thinking about our mother. her safe place in healing, her knowing that her mind isn't well. When I visited, she said that I brought her peace, that my being there quieted the voices in her head. I think of all the years and fights we got in over her, you urging me to forgive her. Just go see her, Rose. She's your mother. Me, stubborn, full of rage, refusing. And it's all so surprising how much I need her now, how I just want her to hug me and tell me everything's going to be okay, how soothing her voice is, how I find the metaphor in her stories. She's not as crazy as they say. And how good forgiving her feels. You were so right. And I never listened. I never listened. Well, I'm listening now, little brother. I don't know how much time that we have. I could read one more, or should that be it?
No, you still have time if you want to read some more.
Well, this is another letter.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Our mother called 8 times, over and over. I felt panic in her calling. I felt needing. For some reason, I didn't answer. Fear, maybe. I don't know. Mike seen that she was calling, and he condemned my hesitation. Aren't you going to answer it? Your mom wants to talk to you. I thought about the example I was setting. I thought of a future where I was calling my son, and he didn't answer because he seen me not answering my mother. I called her back. So I just got off the phone with our mom. She says, Rosie, her breathing was quick, fervent. I need your opinion. Yes, Mom. What is it? What's wrong with me? That caught me off guard. What do you mean, Mom? They all say something's wrong with me. I want to know your opinion. What do you think's wrong with me? You're mentally ill, schizophrenic. But it's okay. Nothing's wrong with you, Mom. I think we're all just made differently, special and unique in our own way. She said, demons came to my room last night and said they had my baby boy and they were keeping him. Do demons have Deanie Ray? I thought he was a butterfly. I thought he got away. I tried to comfort her. He is a butterfly, Mom. I believe that. He's transitioned into something beautiful. The beauty that was always there, that he always had. He's moved into that now, Mom. Demons don't have him, I promise. He's safe. Your son is safe and happy. Are you sure, Rosie? It's really scary to see and hear all the things I see and hear and not know what's real or not. Well, what does your heart tell you? She was quiet for a minute. That Deanie Ray is like that jungle boy, and he's safe now. He's in the man cub village, and he has a name. Holy fuck. What kind of twistedness is this? I feel like you always asked a lot of me when you were alive, but this shit? Come on, Dean. What do I even say to that? She's so fragile, so helpless. I can't imagine what she's going through in that nursing home all alone with just her thoughts running through a mind she can't trust. The guilt of all she's done at the hands of her mental illness gnawing at her, consuming her reality. I find some beautiful irony in my empathy for her now, how my hate and rage is a deflated balloon the hurt child inside me still attempts to blow up and get in the air, but it's quite useless. All limp and dirty and riddled with holes. I really just want to protect her despite myself. And who would have thought? And I'd save her now if I could. But these kinds of conversations mess with me, brother. I really don't know if I'm doing anything right here with her. But I'm trying. For you, for our mother, for my kids, for myself. I'm really trying.
Rosie, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Sorry. Thank you for having me here. Yeah.
Okay, our next reader is Saymoukda Vongsay. Yeah, me too, Amanda. I was getting all verklempt too. Yeah, Saymoukda, if you would please share some of your work with us.
Rosie, I brought this because I knew you were gonna make me cry. I brought my own. I'm a prepared emotional person. And I brought this. Okay. Thank you for that. That was so lovely. I have 3 pieces to share with you today. And since we are talking about mothering and adulting and trying to figure it out and how to balance it all, this poem was written in a creative writing workshop. And every now and then I take a creative writing workshop just to be in community with other writers and then also to like generate new material. And the prompt for this one was, what brings you home? And I immediately thought of my mom's voice bringing me home, calling me back when I was playing outside, all that stuff. So, and then I started writing and it went into something else. So it's kind of like a Trojan horse of a poem. And it's really, you'll see what it's about. And we'll talk about it later. It's called Mother's Voices. Mother's voice sounds like warm rain. It sounds like sticky rice steaming in a woven bamboo basket in the morning. It sounded like shoes being kicked off, left foot first, then right foot next, followed by an imbalance, a wobble. Mother's voice sounded like the sink running on a low flow at 4 a.m. to scrub the dust off of her face. Her voices sounded like Pum Puong and Dolly Parton wafting through our screen door to call me back home from the park. Mother's voice sounds like old home butter tubs opening to reveal sompak or fermented badak. Mother's voice also felt too. It felt like scraps packed tightly into a Kemp's ice cream bucket at the fresh fruit cutting factory. It felt like cracking joints snuck in at the hearing aid assembly line. It felt like 25-cent popsicles melting too soon. I was taught to make the most of these moments, to savor in case I won't get to have it again. And Mother's voice smelled too, like Jean Naté after bath splash, slapped and slathered on my skinny arms and legs. It smelled like Dad's Chinese chop chop, an ambiguously racist stir fry concocted from misremembered ingredients listed by Martin Yan every morning through the television. If Yan can cook, so can you. Except my dad couldn't. Mother's voice smelled like depression, like that time we went on a drive in West St. Paul. We stopped at a park. They stayed in the car while brother and I climbed up the slides. I jumped off the swings after I saw her slam the car door, and she only stopped crying long enough to direct me. Bury me here when I'm dead. In my heart, I said I couldn't. How could I? I'm only 7. She said, when you're older. My mother's voice smelled like steamed buns with not enough hard-boiled egg and too much meat. Meat is love, she'd say. How can there be too much love? Bite into it, savor, take your time, all the time you need, because you might not get to have it again. All right, this next one is dedicated to everyone who's ever been catcalled ever and hated it. because there have been times where I've been catcalled and I'm like, thank you. But there are times when I'm like, don't talk to me. So this is for that time, the second time. To the gentleman who catcalls me every morning without fail on my way to work. My vagina wants to knife fight you. That's the poem, that's it. Okay, let's see. This next piece, this is my last piece, it's called Break Your Face, and it was a commission from Pollen Midwest. You know, we were just coming out of 2020, and something that was like huge in our circles, especially in the artist community, was about healing and joy, and how are we doing that for ourselves and for each other. And I kept thinking, I feel like our wounds don't like completely scab or heal. I feel like it's just, maybe it scabs, but it doesn't like completely heal, right? Like new skin don't come in. But I feel like we're always going to be trying. I don't feel like we could ever completely heal from our traumas. I don't know. We just learn how to like live with it, you know, day by day. But I'm also like thinking about like renewal and how important that is, and like to anticipate it and to like have hope, because I'm actually kind of pessimistic as a person, but I can't help it. I grew up emo. Okay, it was that era. Okay, break your face. It is inevitable. Sometimes we break like teeth and promises, bones and hearts, branch and ground, chaos and code, habits and faith. Sometimes we break open, like pods and doors, dawn and silence. Sometimes we break apart. Sometimes we break down. We are just pieces getting ready to disassemble ourselves into a fire. And the future won't have us in it. If my ancestors taught me anything, it is that fire creates new life, an affirmation to let go, to make way for something else to shape, to take on something that we have not felt before. Maybe a new sound, or one that you have always craved for, like sun rays stroking your skin. Maybe a new song, maybe a new feeling, or a different way to understand what we have held once before, only now its heavy is new, its angles indent differently on our palm, its colors, its smell, a little bit familiar and reminds us of home. Home has a simple recipe. Some call for more laughing parents than canned meat. Some call for cups and cups of giggling grandfathers in bouncy castles. Dashes of hand-holding, peeled Korean drama marathons, handfuls of lullabies once forgotten, and bowls of cut fruit spilling over, handed to you with luscious words like, I'm sorry, or sweet juicy ones like, I love you. But sometimes the ingredients are hard to come by, and you'll have to go look. So float to the surface of your first memory. When you were in water, scraping scales with the naga, it left lines on your torso to keep your secrets, to remember your purpose after you've sprouted feet. Listen for chocolate honeycomb, sweet buzzing that swarms across your chest and warms your belly and lights up fauna and flora transplanted here from your motherland. Be the water they'll need to survive in this strange soil. And if your well becomes dry, I invite you to time walk with me to that moment when you first laughed. Remember the unnecessary amount of time you took to consider how many butts a buffalo might have. One is not the right answer. But come and time walk with me to contemplate how many oceans live inside the heart. And every time I break, I trace the root of my thumb. I fly around with mud puppies. I shuck out of my water body, and I dance forward into myself. So when you reach the edge of the sea or hunger at the cusp of a vision, let a dragon fruit sing you home. Thank you. That's it, I'm done.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Also, I need to know, so how many butts does a buffalo have?
I have no idea. You know what? I think I was a little bit lit when I wrote that. Like, I'm like, this commission is due in 2 weeks. I need to think of things. Just like slam it down, you know, White Claw.
Well, thank you, and thank you both. So to the audience, if you have questions, please do put them either in the chat or in the Q&A, and I will pull those up as they come in. But to kick off discussion, a kind of two related questions that I'd love to hear from both of you on, does motherhood influence or inform your writing, and how does it affect your writing process or practice?
You're looking at me, I'm looking at you. I can go. You want Rosie? Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm kind of a newish mom. I have a 4-year-old. He just turned 4 like earlier this month. And in my culture, I'm a late bloomer mom because I had him when I was 37. and in our culture, that's like old timey. That's like you old, right? But that's when I felt ready, because I wanted to focus on my career. I wanted to make sure that I had my fun and went clubbing and all that stuff. Anyway, for the first 2 years, I had postpartum depression. And I was also taking care of my mom, who was in the process of dying. So there was no time to write or to read or to do anything. I couldn't even go to poetry readings. I couldn't participate in the things that made my heart flutter. And it was really hard to get back to it. And it wasn't until I found actually a group of women artists, not just writers, but women artists who were also parents. And they have been doing this longer than I have. And for them to insist that I give myself permission to have focus, uninterrupted time to just go away, even if it's for an hour or a weekend or whatever, they insist that I do that. And I'm thankful that I have that community, and I'm thankful that I have a husband who gets it, because he's an artist too. But for some reason, I've been trying to write like a poem about my son, and I haven't been able to write a poem that is good about my son. And that makes me feel like a shitty mom, because I read poems written by, parents about their children. I'm like, damn, that's beautiful. Oh, that's the kind of parent I want to be. And this fool is like not inspiring any poems for me. So I'm not going to force it. And I think it's going to come at some point, but it's still a struggle. What about you, Rosie? How do you feel about it?
Well, there was a lot of years that, because I'm a single mom. I have 5 kids. I left, their dad was abusive, and God, I came to Minnesota with nothing, Well, and that's kind of the opening of the memoirs, so I don't want to give everything away, but we're talking anyway. That's how I came here, right? Last time he hit me was on the 3rd of July, and on the 4th of July I ran away, and all I brought with me to Minnesota was my kids, and 2 of them, they weren't even wearing shoes, and we completely started over. And so, a lifelong dream that I had was going back to school. And so I left him in 2011. 2013, I started taking classes at Century College. And the entire time that I was, with this man and living this very uninspired life, I was not writing, right? And then I started doing things, for me and the kids, and took some creative writing classes, and that was it, you know. And now, and it's always hard, you know, trying to find that balance between keeping a roof over your head, you know, like I have to bartend, okay, I have to work, and then doing writer work, like being, you know, here doing this stuff that I love, giving. I have received so much from the writing community. I jump at every chance, every opportunity I have to give, you know, take part in these types of conversations. And then writing itself. And I consider, you know, reading, you can't be a good writer if you're not a good reader. So even when I'm reading, I'm doing writer work, you know, because that's a very intimate relationship. And yeah, so now, gosh, unlike you, my kids, I have 22, 19, 17, 15, 13. God, they don't need me anymore until they want dollar bills, you know? And I get a lot, and they're very supportive of me now. They give me the time. My work schedule, I've worked really hard. I bartend Friday night, Saturday night, you know, Sunday, all day. I have the best bartending schedule that you could ever get. I'm spoiled rotten in that way, but I worked really hard, you know, to get here. And it took, and sacrificed. There was a lot of years I wasn't writing, you know, but now I am. Now, you know, so even, God, don't give up on yourself. That's all I, you know, and it doesn't matter what age, just don't give, yeah, I'm old. Don't give up.
Kind of a follow-up question. What practices have worked for you to keep writing as a parent?
What?
Like, what practices or what tricks or what methods have worked for you to keep writing as a parent?
I can go. Doing it. Whenever, so used to, and this is even when I was going to school, you know, school, work, mothering, when they were younger, when they, you know, because they just now got to where they aren't as needy. But they always need you. You know, my 22-year-old just moved to Arizona, and God, I was a mess for days, you know, because my baby went across country, but she's got to find her own path in life. But anyway, it's just doing it. Whenever that creative spark hits, like I used to not be, have a disciplined routine. And where I set a specific amount of time, you know, now all my kids are in school all day, you know, I get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you know, to do writer work. And it's blessed to finally be here. It's a blessing. But used to, I would write whenever the inspiration hit me. Like I would sit in parking lots outside of doctor's appointments and be writing on my phone. Or I would be coming home from the grocery store and pull over on the side of the road because my head, you know, I'm writing. You're always, as an artist, you're always creating, even when you're not actively creating, right? Like it's all going on up here and in here all the time. And yeah, and so, or I take a notebook out into the woods, go on a hike. That's being in, and where I live in Marina, St. Croix, and I'm surrounded by William O'Brien, and I live right on the river. So I'm kayaking a lot, or, you know, I will kayak across the river and just sit on the bank on the Wisconsin side and just write, you know, just sit with the water and communicate with nature. And there's a That's the best medicine that we've ever been gifted, you know. Unchi Maka. But yeah, so you got to work your way there and find what's best for you as an individual, you know, and sometimes and just heed the call when it comes. Heed the call. You know, I've woken up at 3 a.m. and written for hours, and then I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna be tired today, you know. But I had to heed the call.
I agree with you. Right. Even if it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour, make time to write and like give yourself that permission. For me, it's also many things. I need to be part of a community of writers, of creatives to keep me fueled. I feel like the people in my life inspire me to think differently and to question things and to imagine. And so I like to be around my artist community and also my general community. I do people watching a lot because I'm a playwright. And so I like to watch people and observe them. And I try to make little, you know, I'll create little scenes in my head of what's happening over there. And it's a good exercise for me. I also, now that I have the ability and the resources, I make time once a month to physically go away and hole up and write and rest. I think rest is so important as part of my practice. Whenever I go away, you know, I rent either an Airbnb or like a cabin somewhere, or a hotel room or suite, and I rest. I sleep for the first day when I get there, and then I feel much better. And I know that not everyone is able to do that, but you know, what I do is I apply for grants and use those grants to do that, to go away. And also, like, I have to continually put myself out there. So that means submitting work and expecting rejection. And when I do get published, I get excited. Or like for me, being you know, requesting or like asking to be part of like a reading somewhere, putting yourself out there, because you grow your audience and you grow your community. And I think that's so important, because we don't, you know, the art of writing is solitary and isolated, but what you create is for people, right? And I take classes because I think that holds me accountable and helps me generate new stuff. But and then I have accountability partners, people that I meet up with regularly over Zoom or over lunch, and we talk about our writing. And right now, something that I have been doing for the last few years is I'm not only, but primarily buying books from BIPOC who are local writers. So I have been doing that. And one, because I want to support my community, and two, like, why aren't we amplifying each other more? Like, we need to do that. So that's been part of my practice to make myself a writer. Mm-hmm.
No, I love that idea of the community being part of what makes you the writer, that it's not just toiling off by yourself, but yeah, but that's such a huge part of it. Saymoukda, you wrote, or you spoke about publishing, and that actually dovetails well with a question that we got from the audience, from Kara. For both of you, what were your experiences publishing your first works? And someone also asked Saymoukda what kind of artist your husband is. But yeah, if you could speak about what were your experiences trying to publish your first works?
At the beginning of my career, I had a hard time getting published. My first poem that got published was in junior high, a school newsletter, and it was a poem about oranges and how much I love oranges. And reading it back, I'm like, ugh, who's the editor of this thing? It was another classmate. But I was like riding off this high for like, you know, a whole few months, and was like, yeah, I can make it as a writer. I'm gonna do it, which is good. Like that's the kind of encouragement you need from your peers and from your teachers, right? But early on, I got one of the gifts that my I forgot who gave it to me. It's either an aunt or an uncle, but it's a huge writer's market book, and there was 2 of them, and that was like our, you know, and I would just like look over that and just try to find where my poem could fit, like my work could fit, where they could find a home. But now it's so much easier because people have Submittable and you could like do online forums and things and email. But back then we were just like toiling, and I wasn't very successful in getting my work published early on because I didn't have a mentor, and I didn't know how to go about it, and I didn't know that I could ask people. Yeah, why didn't anybody? Now I'm mad. I'm mad nobody reached out. Just kidding. What about you, Rosie?
Well, sort of similar. Early on, I a literary journal magazine, and then, you know, in the back there's all these places where you can, you know, send your work. Some of them charge you, so I avoided those. You know, I was and I sent, it was for an actual class assignment, and I submitted to like 4 or 5 places, and I got in that first round, a couple of my poems were published in a online literary magazine, and I was like, oh wow. And like you said, that high, it was like an affirmation, because gosh, when I was first starting out, I was majoring in horticulture because I own my own landscaping business. It took me a long time to finally be like, oh, I'm a writer, you know. I'm gonna switch my major to English. And it took the universe intervening for me to do that, because I'm just a stubborn woman sometimes. But yeah, that affirmation was really, I think, important. And so you have to put yourself out there, and you got to have thick skin, and you know, you're gonna have a lot of rejection. You know, Stephen King, when he started out, if you ever read his memoir on craft, anyway, he had a whole stack of rejection letters. You know what I mean? And so you'll eventually make your way. And then I started just saying yes to every single performance. You know, I was asked to go perform in the Twin Cities, and everywhere that I've been asked to perform, I say yes, I say yes, I say yes. And then I started applying for shit, you know. Oh, I'm going to apply for a grant. Applying for a grant will actually bring you to your knee. You'll cry. It's one of the most frustrating processes I've ever experienced. But it is so well worth it, because then that helps you, you know. Oh my God, it's amazing if your laptop survives grant application, you know. But yeah, it's so worth it. And just apply and say yes, and put yourself out there, and that's it. That's all I got. I know we got to wrap it up, but yeah.
Well, thank you both so much for your work and for this conversation. And like you were saying, Saymoukda, about being mad that you never had a mentor. Like, I so appreciate that both of you are taking part in the Write Like Us program. I think it is so important for writers to have mentors, especially like the 2 of you. So thank you both so much. I really appreciate your time here today.